Hi everyone. First, I would like to introduce myself as my name is Dr. Vijay Bhaskar Reddy, Associate Professor, the Department of H&S Chemistry. So, I am handling environmental science subject. Today, we are going to discuss about some of the acts. So, environmental acts, legislation of the environmental and related acts we discussed in this lecture. So, mainly there are different types of acts are enacted by the Government of India. So first is the Water Act, Environmental Act 1986, Forest Act and Wildlife Act. These are the different acts enacted by the Government of India. One by one we discussed in this one. First one is the Environmental Policy and Legislation. So policy means act. So that act is the enacted or discussed in the Parliament and passed in the HGO. So first, National Environmental Policy. The Government of India constituted a central board, prevention and control of various pollutions. Acts is a prevention and control and various pollutions act like a Water Act, Air Act, Environmental Act, Forest Act, Wildlife Act, Hazardous Act, Municipality Waste Act. These are all different acts are enacted in the Government of India under the National Environmental Policy. So these are all the state government constituted the pollution control boards in their own respective states also. The central government is a bodies or meeting is different, and the state government also is the constituted their pollution control boards their own respective states. The main objective of the National Environmental Policy. What is the main objective of this one means is the key environmental challenges like a population explosion, poverty, poor environmental quality, either soil, water or atmosphere or resources, either natural resources, different natural resources, water resources, energy resources, and global environmental issues like a loss of biodiversity and climate change and ozone layer depletion. So this is the main objective of the National Environmental Policy. So whatever the key environmental challenges and then global environmental issues. So how to control, how to prevent, how to measure excess of these. So coming under the National Environmental Policy 2016. Now coming to the first one, the Environmental Protection Act enacted in the 1986. So before 1986, no that much of the whatever act is not there. So in the 1984, December 2nd, so one of the major incident occurred in India. So one of a pesticide company, that is the Union Carbide India Limited, a pesticide plant in Madhya Pradesh state, that is a Bhopal city. A leak of one of the gas, methyl isocyanate. Generally, these methyl isocyanate are widely used in the preparation of the fertilizers. So one of the intermediate compound, this will be used. This gas will be used, and due to the leakage, what reason, either corrosion leakage, whatever the pipeline corrosion or other reasons, this gas is leaked and causing nearly death of the 3,787 people, and also a lot of people are injured. More than 5,58,125 people are suffered, injured, different ailments like skin diseases, eye irritations, some of the brain related, or some of the other causes, other ailments like these are all is injured by the other ailments. So the Government of India immediately after this incident happened, 1984 December 2nd, the Government of India immediately is the Environmental Protection Act in the 1986 under the Article 253 of our Indian Constitution. So after the whatever incident happened 1984 December 2nd, then our Government of India immediately is enacted under the article of 253 our Indian Constitution is the Environmental Protection Act in 1986. Okay. The purpose, what is the purpose of this act? Mainly framework on water, air and soil or land, and the interrelationship with the human beings and other living microorganisms. What are the interrelationship between the microorganisms water, microorganisms soil, or microorganisms air? Are human beings with water, human beings air, human beings and land? What are the interrelations between these all things? So immediately is the for that purpose this Environmental Protection Act came. So this act in the force of November 19th, 1986. So birth anniversary of the late our Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi ji. So is a environmental protection issues in India enacted on the birth anniversary of the one of the our late Prime Minister Srimati Indira Gandhi ji, November 19th, 1986. So that's why Environmental Protection Act came 1986, because due to the before 1984 this major incident happened in the Bhopal plant. Now coming to the what are the main objectives or salient features of Environmental Protection Act this 1986. The first, the central government restrictions on area in which any industry operations shall not be carried out without any safeguards. So for example, if any industry is working without any safeguards, and for example releasing the harmful gases, releasing the unwanted gases without the proper precautions are taking, so means that industry operations are not carried out without any safeguards. So must central government or government of India lot of restrictions will be put on that industry. So that's the second one is the emissions and effluents. Whatever emissions are coming from the industries, whatever effluents are coming from the industries like liquid effluents, wastewater, waste solvents from the pharmaceutical industries, if emissions, different gases are emitted from the industries. These are standard respect of 61 categories of industries has been evaluated and notified. So means 61 type of categories of industries have been evolved and notified in the emissions and effluents are releasing to the in the environment. The prohibition and restrictions on the handling of hazardous substances in the different areas. When you are handling the hazardous substances like some very harsh chemicals like mercury, lead, chromium, so these are the heavy metals when you are handling for the our daily purposes, preparation of the engineering purposes, manufacturing sectors, that time whatever releasing the effluents, releasing the emissions, that must be prohibition and restrictions when you're handling that one. So whoever fails the above mentioned whatever rules and regulations from the central government of India or government of India Pollution Act, punishable with imprisonment up to 5 years or with the fine or extended to 1 lakh rupees or both is a punishment and a fine also both. So that is the whatever the salient features of the Environmental Protection Act 1986. Now coming to the first one by one different acts we discussed that one. So first one is the Water Act. This Water Act enacted by the Government of India 1974. So mainly what is the objective or main important point of Water Act is the prevention and control of pollution in the water. Is a whatever pollutants coming from the different sources, either primary pollutant, secondary pollutant, non-point sources, point sources, pollutants are coming enter into the or mixing with the water bodies, that are all will be monitored under the act is the Water Act 1974. So different pollutants are there. They are different categories, water pollutants, that one. So now coming to the next related to Water Act 1974. This Water Act is enacted in the 1974 in the Parliament to prevent and control of water pollution and maintaining or restoring of wholesomeness of water. So means is the whatever cleanliness of water and any harmful substances, whatever in terms of the any impurities, hardness causing salts, not chemicals, hazardous substances, waste, these are all not included or not coming enter into the water. You must restore the cleanly of water. So that act also prevented the pollution of water by the industrial agriculture and municipalities, including domestic wastewater. Domestic wastewater. Industrial means is the wherever industries are working near the in that area, a lot of emissions are coming, effluents are releasing outside, that will be enter into the water body or surface water body and mixed with the water bodies. So that also is a water pollution will be causing. And agriculture. So agriculture means nowadays we are using the lot of fertilizers, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium related fertilizers are using for the agriculture crops to improve the or increasing the yield of the growth, that one. And that whatever pesticide related water is enter into the water body also is a coming take place the eutrophication. Eutrophication is coming. That process is called the eutrophication. And municipalities. So municipality waste dumping in the near to water bodies, that will be enter into the water bodies. Domestic wastewater. Domestic wastewater means household we are cleaning daily different detergents are using for the cleaning, bathing and floor cleaning. Different chemicals are using. So that also enter into the water bodies, and the water bodies polluted will be started. So whatever domestic wastewater and industrial, agriculture, municipalities, that can be contaminated natural water resources, surface or lake water or river water. Slowly that contaminants will be enter into the earth, slowly percolate inside the ground also. So that these are the major pollutants coming from the different sources. So water with a high level of pollutants that enter into wetlands, rivers, wells causes serious health hazards. Once the wastewater, high levels of pollutants containing wastewater enter into the wetlands, rivers, wells, these are create a serious health hazards. Problems are created for that one. So here is the main one is the reduce water pollution. How to reduce the water pollution? By avoiding chemicals for households, because every day we are using a lot of chemicals for our daily purposes, cleaning, bathing, different all are chemicals, dishwashers cleaning, detergents, floor cleaning, all are chemicals. That once that chemicals are enter into the water bodies, water will easily polluted. So reducing the pesticides in the gardens, even though gardens also used the pesticides. So and identifying the polluting sources. So how the pollutants are enter into the water bodies, that also identified, then automatically prevent the water pollution. Now coming to the second Water Act, what are the salient features? What are the important points under this Act 1974? The main salient features of this Act are maintenance and restoration of quality of all types of surface water and groundwater. So means maintenance of the all types of quality of water, like a surface water, a groundwater or lake water or river water, not contaminated with the different types of pollutants. That is the first one, is the main important point. Second one is establishment of state boards for pollution control. So even though central government also is the under the bodies is their pollution control board, but different states also establishment their own states, own their bodies, state boards for the control for the pollution. Prevention and control of water pollution. Central government resolve disputes among the states if any arise. For example, any water bodies disputes coming different states, that will be resolved or rectify that problem by the central government, because there are a lot of disputes between the different states in India also, is the Kaveri water or Godavari water or Krishna river water. These are different disputes between the different states in India. So those disputes will be rectified or resolved by the government of India. To evolve methods utilization of sewage and trade effluents and agriculture with the proper treatment. When the whatever is the waste is coming, that must be take the proper treatment before entering into the water bodies. Then only we can prevent the water pollution. So now coming to the second one is the important, another act is the enacted by the government of India, that is the Forest Conservation Act 1980. So how to we protect, what are the major causes for the forest conservation, if the deforestation, what happened. These are all salient features are coming under the Forest Conservation Act. Now coming to the Forest Conservation Act is enacted in the 1980 Government of India. So forest is the biotic community. Is a biotic community means is the mostly is the plants, animals, microorganisms all will be living together in a particular area is called the biotic community. So that's why is the forest is a good biotic community. Is a composed of predominantly trees, shrubs, bushes, different types of varieties of the plants. And whereas the forest produces included the different types of vast variety of products are giving to us for daily life like a timber, charcoal, oils, resin, tree bark, seeds, fruits, flowers, different honey, wax. So enormous products are supplying to us from the products. So here is the increasing the population. Why is the deforestation happen? What is the reason? Why you are going to conserve the forest? This act means is the every day by day is the population is increasing. So once the population increasing, major is causing the decreasing in the biotic community. So their essential requirements also going to increase day by day. Whatever the producing oils, resins, tree bark, these essential important whatever also increasing when the population is increased. So that's why is the biotic community slowly decrease. So forest and implementation of forest conservation is essential and mandatory. The Forest Conservation Act was enacted in the Parliament is 1980. Already we mentioned that one. The state government or other agencies cannot violate Forest Conservation Act unless prior approval by the central government. This is very important. So the state governments or other any private agencies cannot violate the Forest Conservation Act. So take the dirt lands, occupy the dirt lands, or harmful to the dirt, whatever is the plants, trees, or any wildlife present in the forest, we cannot harm that one without the proper prior approval by the central government. So that is the forest conservation. What is the major salient features present in the Forest Conservation Act? What are the main objectives or salient features in the Forest Conservation Act? Mainly the restrictions and the preservations of forest, the use of forest lands and other purposes. So means there is forest land never used for the other purposes like a agriculture purpose, industrial purpose. There are a lot of restrictions are there. The forest land or any portion thereof may not be used for non-forest purposes. So means simply say forest lands we cannot use for the other purposes. Other purposes means is the whatever industrialization, agriculture, crops, whatever that one living purpose we cannot provide for the other purposes. Forest land may not be assigned by way of lease or to a private person or to any corporation or agency. So means forest land never may not be assigned for any other person or private agency or corporation or that one. That is the under the control of the central government or government of India only. So forest land may not be cleared of trees which have grown naturally in that land. So forest land may not cleared of trees. So not deforestation because is the naturally grow that plants as usual in the nature. So next continuation of this one is the Forest Conservation Act to include prohibition of hunting, shooting and fishing of poisoning of water to in forest areas. Is in the forest area is a prohibition or preventing that one hunting of the animals, hunting of the whatever is the birds, what is the hunting of the microorganisms. So these are all will be shooting, fishing or whatever, these are all will be preventioning. And water also not poisoning of water. For example, is the water is the major source for the drinking of the animals, birds in the forest area. Once that will be polluted by the any poisoning of the harmful hazardous will be added into the water bodies. So those are will suffer serious health problems. So that's why is the poisoning of water in forest areas. And whatever is the plastic also not dump in the forest areas because it's not easily biodegradable polymers. So no clearance of forest land for cultivation or other purposes. There is no any clearance for the forest land for the cultivation as well as other purposes. Protection of timber from fire. Now coming to the another Wildlife Protection Act. This is enacted by the Government of India 1972. How to protect the wildlife, different wildlife animals in the forest and different areas. So this is the enacted by the Government of India 1972. So what are the main objectives of this act, 90 Wildlife Protection Act? So mainly the wildlife play a very important role in the conservation and the maintenance of ecological balance. This is the very important. For example, is the ecosystem means a different varieties of plants, animals, microorganisms all living together particular a place, a particular region. So that is called the ecosystem. So there are a lot of interactions between these variety of species, water bodies and air and land. There are lot of interactions are there. So that is a totally together is called a ecosystem. So if any wildlife, so whatever is the animals or species will be slowly is decreasing. So that is the maintenance of the most ecological balance. So the first comprehensive legislation of related to conservation and protection of wildlife passed the Government of India 9th September 1972. So this act is amended so many times. So this act was amended year the 1982 year once amended, added so many salient features in that one, 1986, 1991 and 1993. So this act was framed to protect and conserve the wildlife, which includes wild animals, birds and plants present in the forest areas and other important sanctuaries, biological gardens and parks. And the tax is implemented throughout the India except the Jammu Kashmir, because that is the not on that time is not under the control of the 370 article. So that's why is the except that is the Jammu and Kashmir. Today in the presentation we discussed about the different environmental acts enacted by the Government of India. Water Act, Environmental Protection Act, is a Forest Act, Wildlife Act. Lecture we continue about the soil pollution. Thanking you.